Hello and welcome to another episode of Top Flight Unfiltered with me, Stacey Smith, and with Chris Parr. Hi, how are you?
Hello, yeah, good. I've just come back from Shettleston 10K.
I know, you must be knackered.
I live for it. It was such a good event. This is part of the Babcock 10K series, and it's RunThrough's first ventures into Scotland. So we had Shettleston, we've got Dumbarton 10K and Helensburgh 10K coming up in May as well. So yeah, it was fantastic to be involved in those events. It was also a top flight, of course, as we've talked about. And yeah, we'll go into more depth in the review podcast for that. But yeah, great victory from Omar Ahmed in the men's in 29.06. Course record, and then Natasha Phillips, who we had on for the women's special, she performed another course record, 32.50. Good run from Sonia coming in second as well. So yeah, it was a really nice day. The weather was absolutely amazing, and I guess excited to get back there next year as well.
Yeah, it looked like a cracking one, some unbelievable performances. But yeah, we will do a special top flight podcast episode on that. But not only are we missing one person, which we always, Cam, I don't think Cam even exists anymore. I think he's just disappeared off the face of the planet. But we're also missing Morel. We're missing Red. I mean, we call him different things. I call him Rich. Cameron calls him Big Red.
Yeah, Big Red.
Morel.
He did a fantastic job on the commentary with Tom Lancashire yesterday. They were absolutely, they were class. I listened to the commentary back. I was watching while I was on the lead bike and obviously listening to it, and then I listened to the whole race afterwards and the interview beforehand. They absolutely nailed it. So cheers, lads. Yeah,
and it was, it's got to be over 10 years since I last saw Tom Lancashire, and he looks exactly the same. Yeah,
we shared a room together back in the European Juniors in 2003, and when Rich asked him about like the worst person who he'd roomed with, I was like, he's gonna say him, he's gonna stitch up, but he went for Aries Merit. But also, you ran this weekend.
I did. Oh, you've gone there. Yeah. I did the Sunderland 10K and I won.
Yay.
Woo. But I felt really crap. Like, I actually think that maybe I shouldn't have raced. And it's one of those things, especially as a woman, sometimes you just feel absolutely rubbish. And I woke up and I felt just horrendous, and I was so fatigued, my body was sore, my joints were sore, but I went out and raced. I won, thankfully, but I really started to hit around about 3K. I knew it was game over. I was like, this isn't a race anymore, I just have to run, scale the pace right back, because I was doing about 3:20s, and I knew that I couldn't hold that pace, and I was like, whoa, slow down, just finish it. So I had to treat it as a bit of a threshold type tempo run. My heart rate was actually all right. I looked at my data this morning and it was only like 160 to 165, which is about my threshold like kind of zone. So I wasn't max out. It was just my body was so fatigued. But today I feel okay. I was in the gym this morning, managed my workout, I just did an easy flush out. So back.
But you're back racing.
Back racing.
And got the win. I wouldn't know any of my stats. I don't run with a watch when I race.
Oh, do you not?
No, that's for another podcast, that one.
Oh, right, okay. We'll get to that. Anyway, we do have a guest today. We have Jonathan Cartwright from Beet It, who is one of our partners for the Top Flight series. So I'd like to welcome Jonathan to the show. Jonathan, how are you?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Good, and obviously welcome to the Top Flight family. We're partnering with you for the next few races in the Top Flight series. So you work for Beet It, and it is the Beetroot Nitrate supplement, of course. I have used your products, and Chris, you've actually used the products as well.
I have as well, whilst I was competitive.
So we have first-hand experience of actually using the products, so you don't have to go on the big sell or anything with us. But I guess we'll do a bit of a deep dive on Beet It, and I guess you can do a bit of an introduction of what it all is, what it entails, and how it all started as well.
Sure. Yeah. So Beet It, Beet It Sport is really a sub-brand of our Beet It Organic brand. So Beet It Organic is part of James White Drinks. That's the overarching umbrella company. And we're based up in Suffolk. So we've been manufacturing various different fruit and vegetable producers for almost 40 years now. And yeah, so long story short, really, Beet It. We've been pressing beetroot juice since 2005 now, and Beet It Sport was really sort of born out of the organic brand, and it was off the back of research done in 2008 that found that beetroot has been shown to help lower high blood pressure. And it was only a year later down at the University of Exeter where they looked at can it improve running efficiency. And at the time, they were using our sort of regular juice as a pint of it as such for their studies. And they did found it to be beneficial, but it's obviously a lot of volume to get in. So we thought we'd sort of rebrand it as a sports brand, make it more convenient for athletes to consume. And since then, it's really snowballed. Really, we're in over 40 markets now around the world with good distribution, supplying a huge range of athletes from a range of different sports, and we're bringing out new products. It's just been a great time. I've been with the company for almost 10 years now. My background is in the research using the product, so quite embedded in many years of beetroot research and things for myself. So it's great to be able to try and spread the good word, really, from a product that's backed with science. So that's kind of where we're at in a nutshell, I'd say.
Where you're saying that the studies that you started to do originally that consisted of a pint of beetroot juice, which, yeah, as you say, that is a lot of volume. And how did you get to the point where you're like, actually, we need to condense this? And how did you condense that big volume into such, because they're quite, like, they're shots really, aren't they? How did that come about?
Yeah, so basically these are the shots that we have here. You can see they're just a little 70 ml concentrated beetroot shot. So like you said, it was originally about half a litre. So that's I say about because nitrate, the levels of nitrate, it does vary within whole beets that you find in the supermarket. It varies from any regular beetroot juice. So one of the things they found quite early on in the research was that nitrate levels do tend to fluctuate, depends how they're grown, how it's harvested, how it's manufactured. So even though the early studies used the pint's worth, it was still not a reliable dose. So when you're testing something for science, you need to have it, repeatability, you need to have it the same dose. So off the back of that, we found it's not easy to control actually and stabilize. It took a number of years. This is before I joined, but the only way to really do it was to batch test and adjust the amount of concentrate that we use in every batch. So we are lucky that we have a good supply of beetroot. So we only use high nitrate beets, and we basically take the water content down. So rather than 500 ml roughly, it's down to 70 ml. But then importantly, we standardise the active ingredient, which is naturally found. So the nitrate is consistent throughout every shot. It's been independently tested to be that way as well. And just like an athlete wanting 30 grams of carbs an hour or 30 grams of protein in their bar, you want to know you're getting the same amount. So we made it consistent for research teams and athletes and coaches alike, really, just to give them that guaranteed dose, no guesswork.
Got you. So are you saying that, because I guess organic has always been that words in just the practice in itself, it's always been a bit, sometimes people say it's a bit questionable, but actually what you're saying is that the organic beetroots that you use, they have a higher level of nitrates in them naturally than to say a beetroot which is sprayed with pesticides and chemicals and these sorts of things?
Yeah, it can be the case. It can vary, not only that, only sort of in how they grow, what part of the country they grow in, how they're harvested, how they're manufactured as well. Thankfully, nitrate's quite a robust molecule, so it can withstand quite high temperatures as well during manufacture. So we actually only have two ingredients in here, so it's beetroot and lemon. There's no preservatives, no additives, yet we have a really good shelf life of 15 months. And we achieve that not by adding in preservatives or additives like a lot of other products out there do. We wanted to keep it natural. So instead of doing that, we pasteurize the products. We test the product for nitrate before and afterwards. Nitrate, like I say, is quite robust, so it doesn't degrade with that sort of temperature. the shots are then hot filled and sealed. So a bit like how you sterilize pots of jam in a way, you're hot filling, you're sealing it off. That's what gives it that good shelf life. And because you've got less water content in there than sort of a standard beetroot juice, that does help to preserve the shelf life as well with that product.
Yeah, it's interesting you said, I think you said there that they were starting this product in about 2008. And I remember when it was starting to catch on and people were talking about it. And I definitely remember people trying the litre of beetroot juice and there was debates about like, oh, well, can you not just eat some beetroot? And people, oh, no, you'd have to eat 500 beetroots a day, whatever it was. And I do remember some accidents as well now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, not from me personally. Funnily enough, I heard this story repeated from the other side on Paula Radcliffe's podcast recently with Tomo, so at least he's talked about it already, so I can't stitch him right up.
Right.
But I did the Great South run with Tomo when he basically had a pint of beetroot juice beforehand because Paula Radcliffe and whoever else were saying, yeah, nitrate is the thing. Oh. And yeah, let's just say he ran into some stomach trouble towards the end, and I remember seeing his face, like he looked like he'd seen a ghost, and I can't remember if it was me or somebody else passed him the like silver blanket, and he was just like shaking his head. And it's funny, he talks about it with Paul as like one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to him in life. And then pretty soon after that, the concentrated shots came out, and then I remember again at the time it was when Informed Sport was kicking off, and people were, you're dubious about, are these things just a fad? Could you just get it from beetroots themselves? Okay, this is on Informed Sports now, so it's worth a try. And I remember trying it a few times and then stopped for whatever reason, because you start things, you sometimes don't stick them through. And then I did a race out in Belgium in, I don't know, I'm going to say about 2017, and there was quite a few of us staying over. There was Phil Sessman, who's now our top marathon runner, and Phil had the bigger version. So you had the 70ml shots, and then he had a bigger version that you could like obviously drink bits of it and screw the top on.
Yeah.
And I'd said, oh, well, what do you think? Oh, yeah, it's great. So anyway, I had some of that, and then I went and ran a PB on that night.
Hey.
So then after that, I was like, right, well, I don't know if it worked or not, but I'm going to have to keep doing it now.
Yeah.
It's set in there. So yeah, I did regularly have it. I didn't have it 365 days a year, but definitely there was spells where I was like, okay, well, the evidence is saying that it's good for endurance stuff. So maybe in the winter when I'm doing 5Ks, 10Ks, I've been looking at that. And then I noted, I had to Google just before I came on, right?
Oh, he's done his research.
So no, I remember reading this because I'm a bit of a nerd. I remember in 2018, the IOC did a study on a wide range of supplements to see which ones have actually got evidence of working. And there was 5 categories that have like actually got performance benefiting effects. So that was caffeine, creatine, beta-alanine, sodium bicarbonate, and nitrates. So at that point, I was like, oh, okay, it's one of the 5 things that they say actually work. So I'm sure you're aware of that study anyway, but after that, did you see more product, like more buy-in, where people are like, okay, well, this is cemented now, the IOC are saying it's legit. We need to have this in our athlete staple diet now?
Yeah, I think it definitely helped. I mean, for us, it's really the recognition, I guess. I mean, we're not the only beetroot juice or nitrate products on the market sort of globally, but of all the studies that have been done since that first study, we're probably in the high 90% of those studies that have looked at nitrate. They've used our product, and it's mainly because, for the reasons I mentioned about the standardisation of nitrate, the fact that it's natural, it's consistent, but we also do another version of this, which is like a placebo shot, where we strip the nitrate out. So there's no nitrate, but everything else is the same. So the taste is the same, the smell's the same. You wouldn't know the difference, basically. So these researchers use our placebo shots to do what they call double-blind placebo-controlled studies. And it just makes the research more robust. So it takes out the possibility that you're getting a placebo effect, like you can have with caffeine, for example. And it's really how the researchers isolated the benefits of nitrate, that it is nitrate within beetroot. So yeah, that publication definitely helped. I think it helped with, we already supplied quite a lot of the elite athletes, but it definitely just gave that extra recognition. And yeah, our sales have been quite strong year on year, actually. So even before then, but I think it's just slowly increasing the recognition of beetroot and nitrate, and people understanding that it's not just a fad or a 1 year hit. It's something that evidence is building and building. And even since that study, there's a study published last month. It was what they call an umbrella review. So it was a systematic review of a systematic review. So usually you'd have lots of independent studies that are done over the years, and every so often someone will do a review paper of these studies to get more of an overarching, stronger evaluation of all these studies that have been done. And this study looked at one step above, where they looked at looking at the systematic reviews. So they looked at, I think, 20 different systematic reviews since 2009. And that really sort of echoed really what they found in that statement. So yeah, I guess it's just, it's nice to have that recognition. We've always known there's a huge wealth of research there, and it's great that the IC have stamped nitrate there, because it is, deservedly, there's over a decade of research now. So we're pleased that it's been recognised, and people can, more importantly, people can trust that, what we've been saying for years is backed up. It's not just us that's saying that. So yeah, it's great to see that.
Yeah. So in terms of just in layman's term, because I come from like a science background, right? So for anybody who doesn't know, like a double-blind trial means that the people who were taking it didn't know whether they were taking the product with nitrate or without nitrate, but also the scientists testing it didn't know whether the subjects they were analysing had taken it or had the placebo. So nobody knows what it is, so that it eliminates bias. So you can't say, oh, okay, well, the researcher from Beet It who's being paid to do the test and it's their product, like they might be biased. Yeah. So it takes that out of it. So yeah, that's great. I guess in terms of like the athletes who are going to be tuning in to watch this, what they want to know is like, who's it for, how to take it, what does it do? And like, I guess, again, in layman's term, this is, and it's more endurance focused, because it helps with oxygenating the blood. I'll let you go into that in more detail. But yeah, what event type? So, I mentioned those 5 supplements earlier. Creatine's more like a sprinter thing. Nitrate's definitely for aerobic and endurance. So it's, what type of athlete? How should they be taking it? Would you be recommending year round, or do you think it's, certain types of the year where it's more beneficial? Do you need to load it and then come off and then come back on? Those are the sort of, I guess, deep dive questions that people are going to be going, yeah, well, how do I do this?
Yeah, what is the actual dose and protocol, basically?
Yeah.
I mean, all great questions, and it's always great when we get asked these questions, because it's what's made the research so interesting over the years. There's always something else that needs to be found out, and so I mean, where to start? I suppose with the dosing, like I say, they knew that it was about a pint's worth. So they roughly, that was between sort of 300 to 500 milligrams of nitrate. You get an average pint or half a litres worth of juice. So the range within the IOC, so that's a pretty good marker, is between 310 and 560. And we're sort of banging that at 400 milligrams. So we recommend 1 or 2 shots a day. And ideally you want to be taking it over a consecutive number of days, especially if we're doing like a prolonged endurance event. So, half marathon upwards. And there's only recently really found out in the last couple of years why there's added benefits if you have it sort of chronically or up to 6 days. So when I say that, it's anywhere from like 3 to 6 days. You're within the window. Any more than a week, there's kind of no added benefit if you're looking to use it for let's say a marathon. And any more than 2 shots a day, again, there's no added benefit. So there is a sweet spot that the researchers have found over the years. And by taking it over sort of the days leading up, what they found out recently is what happens to nitrate within the body. Because for years they've just measured it. You consume the product, they measure a marker in your bloodstream. So they look at what they call plasma nitrite and nitrate. Just shows so how long it takes to be absorbed or peaked in the bloodstream. So on average, it takes about 2 to 3 hours to peak. So if you were to consume one now, we'd measure it. And that's why we say to consume it about 2 to 3 hours before on race day. So when you start the race, it will be peaked or sort of elevated before you start. Now at rest, it would generally stay elevated for about 6 hours, and it would slowly go down to baseline at about 12 to 24 hours. What they found recently is that during exercise, your body will use up nitrate, a bit like how we use up stored carbohydrate. And it will use it up in the bloodstream quite quickly. So what they found is that when we consume nitrate in the days leading up, we're also banking it in the muscle stores. So the body stores it, a bit like how we carb load. It's been shown that there's an added benefit if you were to preload on nitrates. And the reason being, they found out in a study in 2018 was that the body stores it away in the muscles. So you're basically maximizing the nitrate reservoir, they call it, over this period. And obviously there's always a maximum. You wouldn't carb load for a month. You wouldn't carb load for much more than a few days or a week. So there is that sweet spot. And yeah, anywhere from 3 to 6 days, it's probably going to maximize your muscle nitrate stores. So the best way to think about it is on race day, you would have done your carb loading for 3 to 6 days. You're going to have it on race day 2 to 3 hours before. As you start to run, the body will start to use it in the bloodstream first. And then as and when it needs to, it will draw it from the stores in the muscle. A bit like how we maintain our sort of blood glucose levels by having it stored in the muscle and the liver. Quite similar with nitrate. So if you're looking to use beetroot, of course you can just take it on the day if you don't want to preload, but the chances are you're going to get a much higher chance of getting a benefit if you do that preload, because you're going to be storing it in the muscle. So yeah, that's the best optimal dose. Up until recently, you don't need to have anything mid-race, because they only recently found out what happens to nitrate during exercise. And it was in 2018 in Exeter, they looked at, is there an added benefit from having like a top-up dose of nitrate mid-race versus just having it alone? And they looked at various things, and it was a fairly short study. So I think it was a 2 hours exercise test, like 2 or 3 hours, and the top-up dose was an hour in. So what they found was that although it takes 2 to 3 hours for nitrate to peak in the bloodstream at rest, during exercise, the body metabolites nitrate much faster than it does at rest, which kind of makes sense, because I guess if you imagine your body like an engine, it's going to be ticking over much faster when you exercise. So what they found was that by having a top-up dose, the body will maintain its nitrate levels during exercise better, which kind of makes sense. It's a bit like if you had a gel of carbs, your blood is going to be maintained with carbs better than if you didn't have one. And also, it prolonged the benefits that you get from beetroot. So I'll talk about that in a minute, but one of the benefits is what they call the oxygen lowering capacity, or the reduced energy demand of exercise. So it helped to sort of prolong the benefits of that, because you're sort of stopping that decrease by topping yourself up. And that's where now we're looking into new ways of getting beetroot in mid-race. I know it sounds a bit crazy. I'm sure people have had enough of beetroot by the time they get to race day, but I guess if you're looking to have a bit more functional or added benefit from something you're consuming mid-race, then we've got an energy gel, for example, that we've launched recently. We're looking into other formats as well that's a bit easier to consume for people that may not be quite as strong as the shots, because you may not need quite a high dose, but it just means that if you can elevate your performance that a little bit more by having a top-up dose than before, then that's where we're going. So that's kind of where the research is looking into now. Like I said before, there's always something new that scientists are looking at. And I'll just say as well, we don't fund the research, so it's not like we've paid or funded or there's any funding bias. It's all done independently. We just supply them with the products, and they do the research in their own way. So we don't often know what gets done until it's published, lest they're kind enough to tell us beforehand. But yeah, I covered a few points there, but let me know if there's...
Yeah, you really did. I think, you've definitely, in terms of just clarifying what the dosage should be, I think that would probably be one of the main takeaways from the podcast, is just how to do that. And then in terms of any hesitations maybe from athletes or users, is there anything reoccurring that you see, or feedback that you see, that they're worried about taking this because of they've heard a rumour that it might have some kind of effect? Do you come across that at all?
Yeah, and naturally I think people are hesitant to try anything new if they haven't heard about it, or if they it's obviously not your usual sports supplement. It's not a gel, it's not a protein bar or anything, and it can be perceived as mean, it is a strong taste. It's a concentrated beetroot juice. So on average, you're talking about 6 to 8 whole beets that will go into every one of these bottles. So it is a large dose, but we've done our best to try and make it as easy as possible. And what I mean by that is when we concentrate it, when we manufacture the products, the pulp is separated from the juice. So the fiber that's going to sit in your stomach is not in the product. So yes, if you eat a load of whole beets and try and run, that's probably going to cause you a bit of stomach upset. But our products, it's just like having any other juice in that sense, like a glass of orange juice. It's really rapidly absorbed and digested. The last shot you're having is going to be about 2-3 hours anyway, about breakfast time. And it's been tested on literally thousands of athletes now over the last sort of 15 plus years. And there's no side effects in terms of a GI that we've really come across. A lot of the time, if there are people who say they've got a stomach, discomfort, it's worth just looking back to see what else have you done that day, what's your fueling strategy mid-run, how much carbohydrate you're having. We meet hundreds of people at these exhibitions, like the London Marathon, for example, and you do find out some people have their race day nailed on, others aren't that sure about what they should be consuming, how much carbohydrate, and it can be quite easy to consume too many gels, for example. So, but yeah, it will turn your wee pink. That's the only sort of side effect we've seen, and your sore's red. But
I can definitely vouch for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, the taste can be, what's the best word for it? Earthy. Soily.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a concentrated shot. You just knock it back and then you clean your teeth and have some mouthwash afterwards in case your teeth all look a bit pink.
Oh, you've got the pink moustache, so my partner, he takes it and he also gets it around his mouth and he's so messy. So yeah, but with the toilet thing, I definitely, but not with Beet It, it was just with juice. I definitely had a moment where I thought I was dying and thought there was something seriously wrong with me, but I had just been drinking raw beetroot juice. I had it juiced. So I didn't take the concentrated product there. It was just from the juicer. So I had a funny reaction with that, and definitely thought that I needed some medical assistance, but I was fine.
Yeah, we've heard a few stories over the years as well of people who come up to us at the stand at the shows and things, and one person went straight to the GP because they were quite concerned about their kidneys and things, and the first thing the GP said was, have you had any beetroot juice? Because I think they could see they were a runner, and they felt a little bit foolish. But then I guess if you don't know, you don't know. But we try and tell people to, at least it's coming, I suppose. And it's you don't get that from any other sports supplements, do you?
Exactly. I think if you're an athlete as well, like having something like that doesn't taste amazing is like very low on your concern if you think that it's going to make you run faster.
Don't care.
I've had like really concentrated, hypertonic things that are like incredibly like taste concentrated seawater sort of things, and some people hate them, and I'm like,
bring it on if it's got benefits.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring it on. I remember my dad used to, when we had colds, you remember echinacea used to be a thing. Echinacea drops.
Echinacea was just...
Gosh, yeah, having that. But I was like, if it works, it works. If it's not going to make me have a cold, then that's fine. But anyway, it did its time. Have you got any particularly like success stories with athletes that you know of that use the product, that shout about the product?
Yeah, so we used to partner with the NN running team. So we were linked with the likes of Eliud Kipchoge, and that was for, I think, about 6 years we were with them. And that really was an interesting story in the sense that, so Andy Jones, Professor Andy Jones, I don't know if you heard of him, but he's kind of the pioneer in the world of the research with beetroot down in Exeter. He was one of my lecturers when I was down at uni, very fortunate to be under him at the time. And he was involved in the Nike Breaking 2 running project, and I think he was the senior sports scientist advisor or something like that. And he introduced the whole concept of nitrate to the athletes and the team, and it was quite sort of new to them at the time. And we actually had, off the back of that, we had a direct tweet off Eliud saying, "We like the products. Can we get the team on it?" So we didn't expect that. So that partnership was quite sort of organically done, which is really nice. And we supplied the team for a number of years, and they still use it today. But yeah, obviously they've had some great successes over the years as well. It's great for us to be a small part of that. And in recent times, we supply quite a lot of the elite world. And it's mainly because a lot of these elite teams, they'll have their in-house dietitian or their nutritionist who knows about nitrates and beetroot. And, they often are looking for any of the 1 or 2 percenters to try and give their team or athletes an edge. So we do supply quite a large number of teams from a range of sports, whether it be, cycle tours to US major teams as well. But in terms of individual athletes, I mean, we partnered with Holly Archer recently for the London Marathon. She finished 4th in British women, maybe 13th overall, and so she had a really good race with the products, and it was great to partner with. And I think it was her debut marathon as well, so great to support her in her debut, and she only had good things to say about the product as well, which is great. But and then overall, we tend to work with ambassadors. Really, we have ambassadors each month, and they can be from a wide range of sports, not just running, cycling, because the products are applicable to quite a number of different sporting types. So we want to shine a light on lots of different sports and athletes, whether it's a world record holder or Joe Bloggs, who's a weekend warrior. We appreciate everyone who uses our products, and it's great to hear different stories as well. I think that for us is a big pull for us to get to hear how we play a small part in people's individual goals, which is always great.
That's good. That was actually going to be one of my questions: is it just for elites, or can beginners, like people that are just getting it? Because we've gone through such a huge running boom at the moment. Obviously, it's Top Flight podcast, so we cover a lot of like sub-elite, elite topics, obviously with our races. But can beginners use Beetroot, the Beet It products as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, from a research perspective, the benefits are actually more pronounced the less elite you are, or the sub-elites, and the elite levels. The research is mixed, if I'm honest. Not everyone that is very, very high and elite level has shown to have a significant benefit. That said, a lot of the elites are still using it. They do their own testings, as we know, and I guess if they can get a 0.5% improvement, that could be the difference between a podium finish and not. So we understand how the athletes may want to give it the benefit of the doubt, but the bulk of the research is around these sub-elite athletes who, I guess a large part of the London Marathon and bulk would stand a chance to get a benefit. And the reason being, they think, is because the kind of baseline levels of nitric oxide. So I haven't really explained the science properly yet, but the nitrate ultimately gets broken down to nitric oxide in the body, which is a gas we already produce. The chances are the higher elite level you are, the more efficient your body is at probably already producing nitric oxide, and you might already be having a diet that's rich in green leafy vegetables anyway. The sub-elites, I guess the room for improvement or the ceiling is much higher. So if you can improve your nitric oxide levels from a sub-elite perspective, it's been shown that the room for improvement is greater. So I guess the answer is yes, in a lot of different sort of varieties of sports as well. So that's probably how I'd answer that one.
I think that's the same for any supplement, to be honest. As you get better, the margins become smaller and smaller and smaller, but those 0.1 and 0.01 percenters can actually make the difference between winning and losing. And I think at the hyper elite level, it's really difficult to actually do a study because you would have to get the athletes to commit to doing it, and there's not that many of them available. So that's consistent. Referring back to that IOC report from 2018, they basically said that about pretty much every study. Like the lower you go down with the test groups, you get a bigger gain across all these supplements. Maybe some of that is because they've had to follow a structured training program to go through the test. So that, and there could be like mental edge sides of doing that actually improve the performance. And when you get to the top, often when you're testing these elite athletes, there is a mental side of things that kicks in, and the performance is already really close to maximising. But this sort of product is not going to bring you down. It's going to get you that 0.01 or keep you at a level. It's definitely not going to be not a benefit.
I would definitely agree with that. So I guess you touched on it there, Jonathan, of that we've not really got down into the nitty-gritty and the science into what nitrates actually do. Would you mind touching upon that? Because myself and Chris might know a little bit with being users, obviously, in the past of your products, but maybe to simplify a couple of things on what nitrate actually does.
Yeah, of course. So really nitrate is what they call a precursor to nitric oxide and nitrite. So nitrate's available in lots of green leafy vegetables, and our bodies over millennia has evolved to break them down into something. So firstly, it breaks down from nitrate to nitrite, and then nitrite to nitric oxide. So the end product, I guess, nitric oxide, that's just a gas we already produce. It's how we regulate our blood pressure. Helps to what they call vasodilate, so it relaxes the blood vessels, influences blood flow, oxygenation. Interestingly, from the research, although nitric oxide is, if you were to think of it like a tree, there's so many different branches that molecule is linked to. It's very hard for researchers to really isolate exactly which mechanism is responsible for the outcome that they're seeing of the performance improvement. What they still aren't 100% clear on is how much of the benefit can be linked to nitric oxide alone, or is it nitrate that's also responsible, or nitrite? So there's still lots of questions that they're trying to answer, but it seems that nitrate and nitrite are a key part of it as well, just the way that the body absorbs it, how the body stores it and utilizes it. But each of these breakdown is potentiated or is sort of converted, I guess, in different environments. So the step, they call it secondary pass. So after you consume the products, some people say, oh, it's all to do with breaking down in the tongue bacteria in the mouth, which is correct, but it's often not on first pass. So what I mean by that is if you kept it in your mouth for longer, it doesn't mean that you're going to have more conversion breakdown. It gets absorbed into the bloodstream first, then it gets secreted into the salivary glands and then concentrated in the mouth. Then bacteria on the tongue will then break it down to nitrite. The body will ingest it again, and this is why it takes about 2-3 hours. And then it gets absorbed into the bloodstream and transported around the body to various sites. Now, the last step to nitric oxide is it happens usually under what they call hypoxic, so low oxygen environments. So, where you are doing some high intensity work, for example, that can potentiate nitric oxide production anyway. And also in the stomach is quite acidic as well. But because of the kind of sporting types where the products has been shown to be beneficial, the mechanism for endurance is very different to the mechanism of action for sprint type performance or intermittent sprinting that they've shown, or even strength and power production. So that's why I said before, they don't know how much of it is linked to nitric oxide, nitrate, or nitrite, but the chances are there's likely that it's going to be different mechanisms depending on what sport you're doing, what distance you're doing as well. And I guess, that from a runner's perspective, I guess all that science aside, really what you're wanting to know is what happens to me on race day and how's it going to improve my performance. So nitrate ultimately has been shown to what they call lower the energy demand or lower the oxygen cost of exercise. So the best way to think about that, you can run at the same pace, but your body needs less oxygen, or your body uses less energy to maintain that pace. So you have a little bit more fuel until fatigue or exhaustion sets in. So it makes you more efficient with the fuel you've got. It's not like an alternative to an energy gel or any other fuel source. It's very unique. It operates on the sort of mitochondrial level or in the energy cell, so it affects the energy efficiency as opposed to the amount of energy that you're getting. So I guess the key effect is it delays the time it takes you to reach exhaustion. That's the bulk of the research for endurance. It's different for other sporting types, but that's how I'd summarize it, I guess, in a nutshell.
Thank you for simplifying that for all of our listeners and the audience out there. That definitely really helps. The other benefit that we've actually got is that we do have a nice discount code as well for all of the Top Flight viewers and audience. So we'll include that as well. So do you know, Jonathan, where any of our audience can find the Beet It products? Where's best to get it from?
Yeah, sure. So our website, so beet-it.com. That's obviously a great place to go. We sell it by the case on there. If you just want to try a few shots or a few units, you can go to xmiles.com. We sell on Amazon as well. So that's mainly where the sports products are found. And then we do have our organic range, which we sell in the supermarkets and Holland & Barrett stores. But yeah, like I say, the nitrate levels aren't standardised for sports for those. So yeah, it's best available online.
Just from your perspective, is it better to buy it from you direct? Because I often think, I'm conscious when I buy things.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking, it's convenient when you buy things from Amazon, they come to your door, but when it's like smaller companies,
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
Should I buy direct?
can I just buy direct here? Especially if the price isn't too dissimilar, I'll be like, I'll just go direct, because then at least that company's getting that money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're all customers of ours. But it's great if you come direct. I think mainly we have like a newsletters. We keep people updated with new research that's come out. We have, subscribing. We have giveaways. So if you come to us, you get a few something different, I guess, that you don't get elsewhere. But obviously, you're welcome to buy wherever you buy your nutrition. If you buy from X Miles from Amazon, it makes no difference to us really. But it'd be great to have you come to us direct for sure.
Yeah, I think the one last thing that I would ask is, purely thinking of the audience that we've got, we might have like people from 800 metres right the way up to definitely marathon, but sometimes ultras, maybe the long trail races, the super long triathlons. They're obviously going to benefit, but what's the lowest distance where you're like, yeah, this should really be incorporated? From my experience, I would be saying, yeah, well, definitely 5K, because that's when I started moving up distance. That's when I was thinking about it. But is there a recommended threshold where you're thinking, in terms of what the benefits you get on race day, would that benefit you for a 1500 or for an 800, or is it longer than that, shorter? What do you reckon?
Yeah, great question. So the bulk of the endurance around about 40 to 50 minutes. That's not to say that it's not beneficial any longer or shorter. That's just because most of the time it's just for people to come in to run for that time, rather than getting someone to come in to do repeated marathon runs on a treadmill. So, but the benefits, the mechanisms are, I guess, applicable throughout longer distances. So if you're doing like a shorter run, even things like I said earlier, intermittent sprinting. So they've looked at, can we improve trying to mimic match play on football or rugby or American football inside a lab in terms of what they're actually doing, and they found that it improved sprint performance. Again, a different mechanism to endurance. Endurance sports, like I say, if you're doing a chronic or a preload, that's going to give you the best chance that whatever nitrate you have on board is going to keep your blood levels sustained long enough to benefit from a marathon distance or a prolonged amount. Anything shorter, I guess, 5-10K, if you're at quite a high level and you're really trying to push for a PB or a podium, then yeah, there is. I mean, it wouldn't harm you taking it for then. Like I say, the whole nitric oxide gets potentiated under like a high hypoxic or low oxygen environment. So there is benefit that is sort of crossed over there, but I'd say the bulk of the research is around that sort of more leading towards half marathon type of distances in terms of what it's applicable for, and how can we improve that for. The ultras is a little bit different, because obviously if you're doing like 12, 24 hours plus, you're going to be using a lot of fuel. It's going to be over a long duration. So that is obviously very hard to research. We can only look at sort of extrapolating what's been done in terms of how nitrate drops off. If it has a top up, can we benefit? But we always find that sometimes athletes find the answers before the research does. We have a lot of ultras who are taking shots out with them. They're leaving them midway around the course, having a top up dose themselves, and they swear by that. And often it takes years for researchers to actually catch up. So, a bit of a long-winded. It covers most bases, purely because on the mechanism that it's acting on, that delayed time to reach exhaustion can be applicable to a number of different sort of durations.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you very much for that. I think that was really comprehensive, and yeah, people won't be going away from this with many questions, because you've nailed the answers there. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we covered absolutely everything. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on. It's great to chat with you guys, and thanks again.
That's all right. Thank you so much. And you can join us again on another Top Flight episode. Next time we should be talking about Shettleston and having a good old debrief about that.
Exactly. And we'll have more races coming up in the Top Flight series, of course. We've got the Top Flight BMC at Jarrow. We've got the Battersea Chase the Sun 5K in June, which if I can get myself back fit, I'm hoping to run. So maybe I'll give you a wave on the camera. Let's see. Fingers crossed.
Come on, let's get this cough sorted out.
Old age.
Age is just a number. Come on, you got this.
Well, yeah, thank you very much, Stacey, for having me.
Yes.
You're the host this time.
Hey, thank you so much, guys, and tune in for the next one.